So they kicked us out of it. Said Michael wants the hottest one. They said,
You don't go
Got a new job, Randy. I don't know if that was left there.
Well, why didn't you lift it? Okay, see it, Mr. Chan. Eric, they still let you?
I'm out of this one.
Go ahead, Corey, you're the countdown master. 6 o'clock? It is 6 o'clock. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Mayor's Reception Room, where we have a joint subcommittee today. And we are talking about, we have a joint subcommittee of the Neighborhood Subcommittee and the Finance Subcommittee. We're here to discuss, first, the CPA. CPA is Community Preservation Act funding requests. We're going to do that first. There'll be a presentation by Austin Ball. Next is the Residential Park and Placard Program, and we have Terry Ryan. He's the parking director. So I just want to introduce Austin Ball. And then we get Giovanni. She's our Director of DPD, Department of Planning and Development. We have Dylan Ricker. I'm saying it right, am I? And we have Adam Bakey. Adam Bakey has been in the planning department for years and years and years. He left us, and he's at UMass Lowell. He's unbelievable. We miss him so much. And then we have Terry Ryan. Not very easy to what's going on with the parking, but we're going to do the best that we can. There's new kiosks and this, that, and the other. And then we have our ever so faithful Kelly Oakes right here, our city auditor, and we're all going to discuss many things. Here comes Wayne Janess on the city council. We have Corey Robinson. We have Eric Gitchia. We have Kim Scott, she's the chair of the Finance Subcommittee, and Wayne Janess. So we're going to get started, and I'm going to turn the...
Could I just do a quick...
Ask for a roll call, Michael. You get carried away.
Yeah.
And this is Michael Geary, our city clerk.
All right. Counselor Scott.
Here.
Counselor Gitchia.
Here.
Counselor Robinson.
Here.
Counselor Mercier.
Here.
Counselor Gitchia on the neighborhoods. And Counselor Janess.
Here.
Good. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Austin. Austin's going to make a presentation.
Thank you, Councilor. Unfortunately, but I'm actually going to turn this.
Oh, that's all right.
Thank you, Councilor. So I'm actually going to turn this over to Giovanni and her team to give the presentation on the CPA.
Hello, thanks so much for having us tonight. We're really excited to be here to discuss the recommendations that the Community Preservation Council made for this year's funding. I believe we do have some of the projects that were recommended favorably by the CPC applicants we've got here in front of us tonight that may be willing to speak on behalf of their projects. But in summary, I guess we could just, you should all have a memo that was written by staff which summarizes each of the individual projects and the sort of bucket under the CPA that they qualify for. Briefly, open space and outdoor recreation, the project that was recommended and the amount $550,082 for the O'Donnell Park project. The Department of Planning and Development has been working on a large renovation of that park. So these funds are going to be matched with ARPA funds that were also dedicated to this park, and there's going to be a really substantial improvement to the facilities at O'Donnell Park, which is in the South Lowell. Under the bucket of community housing, for CPA is the Hadley House project at $150,000. The applicant for that project is the Lowell Housing Authority. The Hadley House is a property that's on Broadway Street in Lowell, and their intention is to renovate it to 5 new units of affordable housing. So the recommendation was for $150,000 and to have an affordability restriction placed on that property for not less than 20 years, and that those units be leased to people that are at 50% or below of the area median income. So that restriction was a part of the recommendation from the council. And then under the historic preservation bucket, there were a few projects that were recommended for funding by the council. Girls Inc. For their project on Worthen Street. The funds we're going to be going towards for historic preservation or go towards things on the exterior of properties for historic preservation. So in this case, windows, siding, doors, and roofing. The recommendation was for $135,000. And for historic preservation, the city does require that a restriction, a historic preservation restriction, be placed on properties. So that would be true for all of the recommendations that fall under this category. 635 Middlesex Street is a private development. The scope of work for that includes restoration of the brick facade and structural work. This is a property on Middlesex Street that is next door, essentially in between the Boys and Girls Club and Nobis. That property has commercial retail on the first floor and has 2 residential units above, right? And the recommendation for that was $100,000. And then the last under this category is for St. George's Church. The parish council was the applicant. We've recommended $50,000 for their project, which includes the restoration of the dome on the church property itself. And so that project is at 44 Princeton Boulevard. And again, just to reiterate, everything that the CPC recommends under the historic preservation pot of funds does carry a historic preservation restriction that will be placed on the entirety of the property if they accept these funds. I do believe there are some applicants that are in the room, and if the council wants to hear from them, we've asked people to be prepared to speak on behalf of their projects.
Yes, and if you do and you want to speak, please go to the podium over there and just speak, state your name and address for the record. This is not broadcast live, I believe, but it will be broadcasted at a later date. So we always have the provision to broadcast this, the availability to do that. Are you all set with this portion? Now, this portion is the open space and the recreation, outdoor open space. Anybody here from the audience would like to speak at all? Yeah, you do want to speak?
Oh, no, I'm not from that.
Pardon me? Well, if anybody here wants to speak about your particular project. Sure.
Can we discuss the James Boyle Building project, please?
All right, sure.
Hi, my name is Rich Hupper, 48 Roper Street in Lowell. My company is RG Realty, and we purchased the James Boyle Building last May. I'll try to do a quick overview of what's going on over there. The building was built in the early 1900s, and it's basically all the exterior walls are brick with a tar and gravel roof and fieldstone foundation. There's also a storefront there that was altered at some point in its history, and we are going to be restoring that back to a previous version that's more authentic for the era that it was built. So the building right now is in pretty bad shape. It needs a lot of attention. There's a lot of structural masonry damage, wood damage inside. There's a lot of rot, termite damage, things like that. So it's a complete gut. You'll see on a lot of these pictures I took of its current state. The windows were also altered at one point too. They were updated to a vinyl window, except for the front. windows, which are still, I think, original. But basically, the CPC funds would be addressing all these exterior historic and structural components, mostly masonry components. The foundation needs to be shored up, the brick walls need to be shored up, the storefront needs to be redone. Some of the copper flashing on the parapet wall on the roof and the bay windows needs to be repaired. So the money will be well spent bringing it back to its previous glory. The big things I want to really hit upon is making this building structurally sound again. It really needs some help, and that's where those funds will be heavily utilized. We are working with Steve Stoll in the Historic Commission. He's going to tell us exactly what the new storefront's going to look like, as well as what the windows are going to look like. There's about 50 windows in there that need to be replaced, and they're all going to look the part once it's all said and done. After we attend to all the structural components, the big thing will be reinventing the space inside. So historically, to the best of my knowledge, the building has always been one commercial space on the first floor and 2 residential spaces above. And that's the way we plan on keeping it. So it will provide brand-new housing for 2 families on the second and third floor, and a new business space for that area of town on the first floor, about 1,300 square feet in each unit.
That's not bad.
So the first floor, I think by the current zoning, you can do retail, office, restaurant, and there shouldn't be any special variances needed to conform to those bylaws. I actually just got the architectural construction plans finished in May. Took a little while, but they're finally done, so I have those. Financing is all lined up with Lowell 5 and the LDFC, and we're pretty much almost ready to pull a permit, a renovation permit to start going with the project. Aside from that, you might see on the handout there's some floor plans, and you'll see the residential units are going to be 2-bed, 2 baths, and the commercial space is going to be just basically an open box until we have a designated tenant who wants to lease the space. Any questions about the project?
Do you have any questions? Yes, Corey, go ahead.
First, I'd just like to say, I love the vision you have for this project. I remember a kid over there at the Boys Club, and I believe it was a dry cleaner on the first floor.
Yes, Kenny's Cleaners, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you looking to do anything for ADA compliance on the upper floors? Is that even a possibility? Because that's kind of a tight building.
We investigated it. The architect says it's going to be virtually impossible.
Yeah.
Because the old stairwells are so kind of narrow
Narrow.
already. You would have to install an elevator, and I don't even think that would fit inside the building. The building is actually not that big once you go inside. It looks a little bit bigger from the outside than once you actually get in there. But there are 2 stairwells, one in the front and one in the back. But the architect says something like that wouldn't be feasible.
And my only other question is, so potentially the only other, you wouldn't really need any variances for on-street parking except for maybe for the retail location?
Yeah, that is one thing that I still, a little bit of a question mark. Depending on what business goes in there, we might need a variance or a special permit to let people park right in front there. But fortunately, there is a decent amount of parking out back for the residents and the business.
Okay, excellent. I think it's a great project. I think, thank you for investing in a property like that, and I really like the vision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric?
Have you been working with the Boys and Girls Club on this? Have they seen these designs?
Well, I spoke to the owner. I believe he was the owner a long time ago. He was telling me about his project and how they're expanding their building and everything. And, but I have not shown him my plans yet. I actually just got the plans finalized. But I don't think the Eagle Court separates the two properties, and I don't think either of our projects are going to be, spilling over into that area.
So the projected parking spots are down the end of Eagle Court on the right? Those?
Yeah, they're actually like directly behind the building. Yep.
Okay. I think it's a great project, as long as it's workable, because you got two major projects going on in one little area there.
Yeah.
As long as both sides are talking and can make this happen with the big fill, I call it, the Lord Overpass fill, this will give some life to that area.
Yeah, yeah. I know they have a big project going on, but I think there'll be plenty of room for dumpsters. We won't have to put anything on Eagle Court. We might have to do some staging on Eagle Court or maybe Middlesex Street at one point. But I don't foresee them interfering with each other too much at this moment.
My grandparents owned the houses to the left of the Boys Club, the two that are now jewelry places, so we grew up over there.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, there used to be a gas station between them, but.
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
I think the project's viable as long as you can get by on your how many parking spots are you projecting?
The engineer said there should be about 6. So 4 for the residents and then 2 for the commercial space.
How many apartments?
Just 2. Just, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I just say, I can't see 2 apartments. Don't, it looks like you have 2 at the top floor and 2 on the second floor.
Are you looking at this one right here?
No, I'm looking at the building itself.
Oh,
I just,
yeah, the front of the building is a little deceiving. But there's actually, the apartments are actually comprised, one apartment comprises the whole second floor, and the other one is the whole third.
how many rooms in it?
Well, the new
It looks
plans
massive,
have-
doesn't it?
Well, the 1,200 or 1,300 square
Jeez.
Yeah, about 1,300 square feet, yeah.
So that's first floor, second floor, third floor.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, we're trying to put more in there.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Try to get more people
Well-
housing, you know?
I know, I was thinking, would it be a good idea to like do 4 studios, but
Yeah,
I
I hear
don't-
you.
I don't
It's
think
up
it
to
would
you.
work, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. And just for the record again, please tell me your name because I do a report and I want to get this.
yeah, it's Rich Hupper, 48.
No, I don't care about your address. Rich, how do you spell your last name?
Hupper.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions for Rich?
Just thank you for investing in Lowell, and this
Oh, yeah,
looks like a great project,
Pretty
so,
much my whole life.
yeah,
Went to UMass
bringing,
School, So,
bringing a historic building back to life is,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
wonderful.
that's a nice building. I love those old brick buildings. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Look forward to fixing it up. You like the old brick ones? Oh, yeah.
How about,
We got plenty around here.
thank you so much. Are there any other people that want to speak about your project? I know you want to talk. Go ahead there, darling.
My name is Stella McAuliffe. I'm the secretary at St. George Greek Orthodox Church in Lowell. Father won't be here until 6:30 because he couldn't come.
It's okay.
Time. So I'll tell you a little bit about our project because it has changed a bit. When we first put in the application, we put in for renovations, I believe, right? Now we are repairing. We found somebody that's doing the Holy Trinity Dome, and he does domes all over the United States. And he came to look at it a few times, and we got a quote from him, and it's much more affordable for us to do that. We did get insurance money, and we have money for it, but we also got insurance money for the inside, which is really damaged now, and we don't know what that cost will be yet. So we wanted to let you know that. I have the quotes, you know, he's gonna do the bricks on the outside, repair everything, paint it, keep it the same. Like I said, if you look, he's doing the Holy Trinity Dome now, and.
I think it's wonderful that we have CPA funding, CPC funding, just like the ARPA funding to restore buildings and help churches and help buildings that are going to be turned into housings, such as Lowell Housing Authority. This is such a windfall. This is so good. And we have a staff that really went over all the applicants. So to be chosen and to be offered the money, that's really very, very good.
And I'd like to thank them for even looking at our application, and all of you, actually. And we appreciate that. And it is the biggest dome in New England.
Wow.
So, which, you know, was
Gee.
me too. So it was,
That's beautiful. Yes.
it's really nice. And right now, it doesn't look too nice, so, you know, whatever.
No, but it will.
Beautiful building.
Yes.
Inside, it's beautiful. And it's just a beautiful building.
I know Judge Zaharoulis will be pleased, don't
Oh,
you
yeah.
think? Yeah, he will be. So thank you very much. We're very grateful that we have such a good staff that went over all the applicants and
Yeah.
chose all the people that they did. So we're very pleased. Thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Corey.
May I just say a brief summary, if you don't mind, of the Hadley House project, please?
Thank you. My name is Todd Chan from the Lowell Housing Authority. Thank you, Councilor, for the opportunity to give you an update on the current status of the Hadley House. We are still in the preliminary stage at this point. As a resident of Lowell and work at the Lowell Housing Authority, I understand the urgent need of affordable housing in our community in the city of Lowell. And taking, my third month into the position as the Executive Director of Lowell Housing Authority, working with my team here, Laura Watt, who is the Asset Manager, and Mark Beer, who is the State Property Manager, we recognize the need to move this project forward. And as you're aware that we took over this building, the Hadley House, in October 2019. However, the building is sitting on a 0.3 acre of land that's owned by the Department of Conservation. So in order to move the project forward, we're going to have to have site control. We have to take ownership of the land. So we are right now in the process of acquiring the land. To complete this process, we have to comply with the Mass Environmental Policy Act, which is known as MEPA. And through this process, it requires to conduct an environmental review, environmental justice, rather, which also require a 45-day public comment. We complete that 45-day public comment, and we are in the middle of, our team is going through the final review, dot the I, cross the T, before we submit it to MEPA for review. And it would take another 45 days for MEPA to review. So we are looking at, if it takes that long, we're looking at the middle of July. We hope that MEPA would expedite the process. When we get the approval from MEPA, Lowell Housing Authority will have the authorization to take possession, to pursue appraisal and obtain land title. And the next step is to have an engineering team coming in to do an assessment, to look at the structure, which is falling into the Chapter 34. And I have Laura, who is an expert in that area, working in the field, and also put the estimate pro forma together, come up with the total estimate of the renovation or construction. So, I mean, if you want to come up and go over that a little bit.
Now, through you, Mr. Chan, I just want to know, through Giovanni, this delay of going before the board is not going to help hurt them in any way, will it, with the funding money? Because through no fault of their own, they have to do the right process, but it's not going to hinder them in any way, right?
So no, it doesn't. These funds aren't tied to a specific timeline for spending them down. So we can make the decision to commit funds to a project that may not be able to immediately spend them down. They can work through their process, and then when they've gotten to that point, we can move forward. So that is at our discretion, I guess, to make that recommendation to commit funds, but know that they're not going to be able to quite spend them right away.
Because I will tell you, it's been kind of frustrating all these years. The excitement was there when we wanted to move this historic building from Middlesex Street, and I remember the day they moved it and put it there, and I said, ooh, it'll be used for something. It's a historic piece of property, and yet it just laid vacant sitting there. Over the years, something went in, something went out, something went in. It was mostly empty. Now, to wait a little bit longer to have something finally start is exciting to me again, and I didn't want anything to happen because we waited this long. 45 days ain't going to hurt us, so I'm so happy to hear that, and I wish you the best of luck. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I just had to interject that.
Thank you. You want to?
Oh. Go ahead,
Sure.
Eric.
So I think it's a great project, but I just have one concern over there, and I'm not sure you're aware of it. If you face the house to the right of it is a large transmission water main that runs from Pawtucket Street all the way through. And when you're moving heavy equipment around that, there could be problems. And hopefully you're not going to the right of the property because it's pretty close to that building, where they situated that building. I just would look at it in your design phase and just make sure that somebody does some good testing on that, because it broke last year and caused a mess over by E.A. Wilson.
Yes.
I just would throw that to you.
I am sure everything would be scrutinized to the extent that would meet the criteria under Chapter 34. So you want to go over that?
Yes, hi, good evening. My name is Laura Watts. I'm a capital asset manager for Lowell Housing Authority, and I've been helping Todd and the rest of the renewed team push this project forward. So we are excited, and thank you so much for considering us for this award. These funds will help us with the Chapter 34 review. That will help identify what is really there structurally and what it might become. We will learn our constraints, and we will also have assessment of the site and all of the utilities. There currently aren't any utilities attached to that building. So we are literally starting from foundation and building our way up. So it's going to be quite the process. But we're so grateful for your support, and with this funding, this really will help us gain more momentum and support throughout the community.
Yeah, that's
I'm
good.
happy to answer any specific questions you may have.
Do you have any queries?
So this project is specifically going to be aimed at supporting veterans, correct?
Yes, so the legislation is written so that this parcel will specifically be to benefit veterans. Until we go through the Chapter 34 review, which will look at the existing structure as it currently is, a 1 to 2 family residence, and see what it will take to become, our hope is to create 5 individual units within the current footprint of the Hadley House. But we won't really know what the structure is capable of until we have it in our possession, and then we can, in good faith, start getting in there and really exploring.
And with a project like that, perfect case situation, 5 units, it won't impact any on-street parking?
It will not. In fact, we have a concept drawing that goes back quite a few years now to the 90s, and that conceptualized plan, there is parking option A and then B. So we are confident that we can at least have the number of spots. I think the current quote, I think the way it's currently, we'd have to have 2 per unit. I'm not sure that could change, but I think that we have the spot there to achieve that for that building.
To answer the question with regard to the fire unit, if we can have fire unit, that would be dedicated for veteran and would be supportive housing services. And there's 2 options that we can do. One is to use existing housing choice voucher project base for a period of 20 years. Okay. Under the new hotbar, we allowed to project base up to 20 years and with another extension up to 40 years. And if that was not possible, we can seek VAS voucher under the same umbrella, Section 8 voucher program. Thank you.
Any questions? Any further questions? Thank you very much. That was very impressive. And anything for the veterans, that's a good thing. Thank you so much. Is there any? He wants to move in. You got a client right here now. Are there any? We have before us Girls Inc. Is there any? I know Bopa Malone, who is the director, is not able to be here because they're having an event for the Person of the Year. So anybody else here from Girls Inc.?
I have a question to Ms.
Giovanni, yeah.
Did Girls Inc., part of this project, is this multi-phase? Did they receive funding in last year's tranche of CPA funds?
It is a multi-phase project, but they did not receive funding in the last round for this project. I think there was a recommendation made by the council. This was not a full funding of their initial request, and so there was a recommendation that we could fund a portion of it, and then there was an outdoor open space component to the project that they were discussing, and the committee recommended not to fund that piece in this round, and because they needed to have more discussions about whether they were going to commit to the creation of public open space or not, and so we funded the preservation piece, which was definitely moving forward at this phase, and told them that if they were interested and made the decision to move forward on the creation of a public open space, that they could consider coming back in a future round.
So I know that and I'm sure we all looked at the report from the Girls Inc., and we looked at it all. Although there's nobody here to talk about it, we did feel that it was worthy of approval. Do you have something else to add?
No, I was just going to make a motion.
Okay, I would like to entertain a motion to approve all 5 of the open space and outdoor recreation plans for the CPA.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Kim, seconded by Corey. All those in favor?
Roll call?
Do you want a roll call, Michael? Okay, roll call.
Counselor Scott.
Yes.
Counselor Getchia.
Yes.
Counselor Robinson.
Yes.
Counselor Mercier.
Yes.
Counselor Janess.
Yes.
All right, move approval, we did. So congratulations to each and every one of you. You're making our city better by what you're doing with our planning department. Thank you so much. Okay. And may I just say, Adam Bakey is the chair of the CPA money, so there's the source right there, so.
Thank you.
That's why we were sad when he went to UMass Lowell. We wanted him. Thank you so much. Thank you. Woo-hoo. All right. Oh, my goodness, how beautiful. All right, darling, pray for us at that church. We need it, we need it.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, darling, thank you. Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, thank you. Beverly, darling.
I have to call him. I'm so happy.
He'll be happy, that's good. We're proud, we're proud.
Yeah, it's a nice location there.
So you're gonna do all the work, right? You're going up on the drone?
All right, my little darling, thank you. All righty, great job.
Be careful of that one. I know. Sometimes they miss those things.
Thank you,
I
darling.
knew you, Ann Dimogenes' boy.
Oh, my-
Years ago, and
yeah.
you were a friend with someone I know from, was it Presbyterian Mary?
Presentation of
No,
Mary?
the priest's wife in New Hampshire, Bill and Mary, oh my God, what's his name?
Oh, my God.
Father Bill.
The only thing
Father Bill, and you were friends with him.
the only thing
I know we were at a function.
Yeah, he had an extra sign.
Yeah, yeah.
saw that.
Oh, I know.
I was rushing to,
Oh.
ready.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah. I kind of remember that, yeah. I can't either. It's going to drive me crazy.
Mary, I cut them in the last day, they moved to Iowa, Florida, or something.
Oh, my goodness.
The daughter was down sick, and then at one point I was married.
Oh, that's going to drive me crazy now. I know.
We sat with them, we sat with her.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much. You got a good memory. I'm trying to think now. Oh, my God. That's okay. That's all right. There you go. Thank you so much. All right, wait a minute. All right, we're almost done. One to go.
This one's gonna be.
You think so?
Take the recommendations of the report that says charge them $50 now. Let's get out of
Yeah,
here.
yeah. I see you accept the recommendation.
I like that. Hope you do the same thing with the budget.
That ain't.
I forgot mine too.
Oh, my gosh. No, I'm kidding. I'm teasing. Okay, so now the second item on this agenda here is the parking placard program. Terry? could
Correct,
you-
the reserve dwelling
Yeah, reserve
signs.
dwelling, okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Sure.
Can we ask a question before he takes the floor? I think we've all seen this multiple times, so I just want to get right through it because I do think it's pretty simple stuff. There's a cost that isn't being shared to the user, and you're trying to increase from the $10 to the $50 or take them away. In my opinion, I'd make a motion just to increase it to the $50 and get back the actual cost of the signs. That would be, yeah.
So
That's his recommendation, but go ahead, Kim.
Just on that recommendation, because I also would support that recommendation at this point in time, my only question is, we have to cover the cost of the signs. The other issue that I hear continuously is enforcement of the signs. So is $50 a sign, that's the yearly charge, correct? It was like $100 to purchase it, correct? So is $50 a year enough to enforce those signs? I mean, does it need to be $100 a year? I mean, I kind of like to see.
So enforcement is police.
Right.
Well, it doesn't have to be, though, does it? I mean, there could be
Well,
parking enforcement.
They don't throw,
It-
enforcement officers don't really go in the neighborhoods like that. Yeah, it's tough to get enforcement officers when we have 5 to go and start doing residential, so.
And, yeah.
Is the
And we're-
enforcement the police or inspectional services? What is it?
Right now, the signs will say that, you're supposed to call the non-emergency police number.
Okay.
Okay, we do not enforce them right now. It's all LPD.
I guess my question would be, is there a way to give a person who purchases this, Monday through Friday, here are our hours, call us if someone's violating it rather than the police, and then outside of those timeframes, call someone else? I know you probably don't have the staff for that because you're trying to rebuild that staff right now.
Yeah.
But the other point that I think is that, like, I know personally, and I'll take pictures, I'll send it to you, that some are out there from 2018 and have never renewed them, and nobody goes back at the end of the year and pulls them and says, if you're not renewed by this date, we're going to pull them. So, and then they're calling the police on an out-of-date sign, expecting you to pay $10 in 2018. We're in 5 years later, and now they're all upset. So,
And I believe that's where inspectional services at one point had the authority to go and follow up on those signs and issue the $300 a day ticket. And that's...
Maybe we make a motion to the manager that says, as you're walking these neighborhoods with inspectional services, you should be looking for that and having them pulled down if they're over a year out. Because there's a lot of them everywhere in the city that they just bought them, threw them up, and never renewed. But they do have a group that walks around with inspectional services that have done multiple neighborhoods, and we haven't seen one sign get taken down. So I think while they're walking through, they should note it and take it, or come back and get it. Somebody should be taking these because they don't own the road. For $10 to own a portion of the road that we have to go through Chapter 90 funds to actually maintain everything, $50 is laughable.
Correct.
You can't get your driveway taxes for that, for one space, is more than $50, and there's a cost of a sign there.
Yes.
And I said this at the council meeting, that we should be more like the 100 to 150, but
Yeah.
I mean, you put a recommendation in front of us for 50, so it's hard for us to be the driver to this and say, okay, we want to go to the 150 because they have oil marks on the road. You see they park over things, and just, if there's a motion, I certainly would support whatever the amount is to increase, because I just think that if you really want it, $150 is not a lot of money for a parking space in the city of Lowell. You can't get one in the parking garage for that.
I would like to make a subsequent motion then. Parking, the fee, $100 annual fee for a reserved parking spot.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Sharing microphone stuff. I apologize. I too would support $100 a year. I think that's more than appropriate. I mean, it costs basically $100 a month if you have a space in the garage, which every downtown resident has to pay. And so it's tough to see $10 a year on the street, and so I'm glad we're increasing that. But something we do with the garage spaces and the monthly passes is we index that cost to inflation. It gets adjusted by the CPI every year, and I'd like to see us do that with this fee as well. I think that's fair, and I think if my colleagues are amenable to that, maybe we can add that to the motion as well. Every year it can be reevaluated and adjusted based on the CPI. And I think additionally we should also ask for this to be reviewed in 24 to 36 months to understand the impact of this new fee and decide at that point if we need to make any additional changes. Thank you.
I do have one point. When we charge the $10 and you live in a building and your neighbor parks in the spot, every now and again there's a little dust up at the property, and we hear about it. When somebody pays $100 for that spot, they're going to expect that to be their spot.
We expect it to be enforced as well, so I think we're on the same footing here.
Yeah, so the spot will be for anybody in that dwelling, not just the person who paid the $100. That's how the ordinance is written. So if you come home at 8 o'clock at night and there's somebody parked in the spot that you paid $100 for.
Boy, that's gonna.
So that's why I put in one of the recommendations, maybe have the property owner pay for the sign, and that, so then the property owner says, anybody that lives on my property can park there, and everybody knows, and it's...
But if it's enforced, wouldn't it be the person who has that sign designated in their name? So if I call the police for enforcement of a sign I just paid $100, that sign's in my name.
But the sign is to the residents. It's a residential dwelling. It's for anybody that lives in that dwelling.
I was under the
allowed to park
impression that in the ordinance, it said that the property owner had to purchase the sign.
there. No, not right now.
So then we would have to change that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be
The
added.
tenants or the property owner
Yeah,
can
it
come in.
should just be the property owner that can do it, because, you know, we have a lot of out-of-town landlords, and somebody just takes over it. And I think that when you look at this, I think Wayne's idea of that is perfect, but I do agree with Wayne. One neighborhood's being treated much different than the rest of the city in the amount that they're paying. And if we're going to redo the roads in this city and try to keep them maintained, there's a driver cost outside of that sign. So, thank you.
So what we're doing right now is we're making recommendations on what we read here. From you have from $10 to $50. We're saying
$100.
$10 to $100.
Annual.
Okay, so I'm not supporting this per se until we get everything in order, because there's still a lot of questions and changes and things like that.
Sure.
But so this is just a meeting in progress. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's not a final to say this is set in stone,
Okay.
set in gold. But let me just say this. This is what I have for an idea. So you're issuing a placard and it's 2024. Let's say it's 2024. Do we have some type of a decal, like the license plate, where you can put a sticker that says 2024 on it, so that someone, next year, it's going to say 2025? Do you hear what I'm, not just 20, but 25? You know what I'm saying?
So the signs do have stickers on them now. There's a
Yeah.
black sticker that goes 1 through 12, and that represents the month that your sticker is due. And the
Okay.
other sticker is a year sticker. So we're giving out 2023s now or something.
Okay.
And they'll
Well, that's
expire in a
good.
year. So there are stickers, and that's the problem. People don't renew, the stickers fade.
Well, I want someone to go to the house, like a police officer, and say, well, you're complaining about someone parking in your spot, and you didn't renew this, because it's now we're into 24, and you have a 23 sticker. Where's your sticker on there?
Yep.
You know, we have certain obligations, and people try to pull the wool over your eyes and say, oh, but here's my placard, but it's not up to date.
And if it's not up to date, it's not enforceable.
That's
And that's
what I
in the
mean.
ordinance. So if
We
the
got to
police.
make it easier for
Yes.
the people that are trying to enforce it to go there and see that it's legitimate. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's good that we have that. All
Yes.
right. Kim?
Yeah, and I don't know if this was done by a resident or if this was done by the city at some point in time, but in Back Central, there's a few that had really old stickers. One, they're not supposed to have them, I guess, in that district, but they're all over the place in Back Central. Someone stuck void stickers on the top of the stickers. I don't know if another resident did it to them.
We have attempted to go out there and put void stickers on, just
Okay.
to try to keep up, but people peel them off.
Okay, I still see them out there.
Yeah,
so they're still
there are
there.
some, but that's just a sign that we're not following up on these signs. We've issued them, they need to be cleaned up.
And we don't issue a bill? Like, there's no way to issue a bill to the person with the water bill or with the
No,
the
they're
trash
supposed to
bill
come
or?
down once a year. We are, we did sign we do work with Passport, and we are looking at making this some kind of a digital permit. So we would actually get the landlord who comes down and takes out the sign. He would give us a list of license plates that are eligible to park in that spot, and we could run those, our enforcement could do that. But people move in and out very quickly.
What about an email reminder and then have the ability to pay like on Invoice Cloud or something for the, would that be?
Could send out email reminders. The city used, before I got there.
When you apply, you provide an email address or whatever that,
And we haven't not been very good in keeping up with those because of the systems.
it's just a blast is pretty inexpensive to send an email blast. And my other question just is not necessarily one of these items on here, is that I'm still seeing a lot of the signs being placed right at the curb. So I don't know if they're providing an image where they're going to place them when they apply. Like, do they take a picture and show you where they're going to put it in their yard? Because they're putting them right at the crosswalk at the corner.
Yeah.
And they have a sign that's saying they're allowed to park there, basically.
For a new sign, we go out and we inspect to make sure that they have the 20 feet, and there's not a fire hydrant there or a crosswalk that would interrupt that 20 feet. So we, for the initial sign, we go out and we measure, and we check to make sure it's okay.
But then they could place it where they want
But
to
then
after
the
the
minute we
fact.
drive away, they get their sign, they could put it in, and 2 weeks later, they could move it. And we do have people that do that.
Yeah,
And we have
you do.
pictures of people who have moved signs.
Yeah. Okay, so it's enforcement. Again, that would be enforcement.
Wait a minute. On this particular issue that she's saying, because I'm trying to get people in on it. All right, go ahead.
To enforcement, can we get, figure out whose responsibility the enforcement of the expired signs are gonna be? Because it's like, if it's not Lowell Police, it's not inspectional services, I know you don't have the staffing to do it,
And it's outside of the general business district that typically the parking group handles. So it's, if we were to get the people and I was authorized to go out, we could do some more of that, but we just have our hands full right now.
So Terry, you know what we're talking about. Can you put another one together with the changes that we just made? You think you could do that?
Sure.
All right, Wayne?
We-
What?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only other thing that just popped in my head, so these are done monthly, on the monthly basis. So you issue a sign that expires.
You renew in February, you come in February,
Okay.
get a new sticker.
Would there be a benefit to moving to just an annual thing? Everything expires December 31st. And, the first time somebody applies, maybe they pay a prorated $100 or whatever the fee is for that year. And then that might make life a little simpler for you. I mean, create a busy time for sure, but it might make things simpler for enforcement as well if everything just expired at the end of a calendar year. I don't know if that's a consideration.
$20, that would
So
make
what do
the
you
math very
say
easy
about
for
what he's
everybody
saying?
involved.
That's true.
Instead of it being expired on, you're on the second month, you're on the 6th month, or whatever, have it all expire at the same time so that everybody knows it's the end of the year?
It makes a lot of sense. We do that in the industry with registrations for municipal vehicles. When we buy a new one mid-year, we get the sticker there, but we do them all in June and they're done. So I would do it probably July 1st, so your revenue comes in a new fiscal year rather than, the December and trying to collect. And it gives them time. And I also think that, if Austin can go back to the manager and say, as they do these neighborhood walks, they start pulling them down. I think that's proactive, because the calls are the calls. But $10, I would make a substitute motion that it went to $120, $10 a month, and it goes up with the CPI, as Councilor Janess said. But I mean, you can only buy it yearly, and if there's an elderly, piece to it, then we have to figure that out in
Look
between.
into
But
that, okay.
So what is it? Is it 120 now? We agree to that? $10 a month?
I leave it up to him
So
It just makes the math easier if we're gonna prorate it on a monthly basis. It's easy to explain, yeah.
It's $10 a month.
Right.
3 months.
all right, that's, so you're remembering all these changes.
I'm
that
taking
we're talking
notes, and
about?
Austin is
Okay.
taking notes.
hopefully,
He's gonna get a rush right before winter hits.
hopefully these funds are enough to get out into the neighborhoods and take them down when they're not there. So we have a list, July 1st, boom, you got to the end of July to get your sign. We have that list from that year. If anybody doesn't come in, it should be a simple program. If they don't come in, boom, it spits it out to you, and then you go by them and take it
And
right
just grab
off.
'em.
So I think in the language, you have to say the sign becomes property of the cities if it's expired, if it's not renewed by a certain date.
Okay.
That way there, you can go over, you can pull it off, and you move on, because they're just basically, this is a loser in revenue, and it's, not being inspected.
No, I like that idea. Would that make your life kind of easier also, almost like with parking plaques or whatever? Would you be able to recoup a sign that someone doesn't renew and reissue on your end?
Reissue it if it's in good shape. If it's, a couple of years old, we wouldn't take something that's been out on the side of a house for 6 years and put it back out on the street. But we'd also not get the aluminum grade signs. We'd buy new plastic signs that, a little more durable and not as heavy and cumbersome as the ones we have now.
And that would mitigate some of your expenses on,
Yes.
on these signs. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a study out there what other communities do for a cost? There has to be other communities that have this type of program, and I'm just wondering what their cost is. Not that I want to go by it, because someone has to be the leader in the industry and start recouping the cost of the taxpayer some way.
When I was at a convention in Connecticut a couple of weeks ago, and I spoke to Somerville and Cambridge parking officials, and they were shocked that we were selling space on public streets. That was that response, that they don't do that.
Well, they also have a lot
So-
of municipal lots that they force you into, because, I mean, if not, in Somerville especially.
Yeah.
If you're not in a municipal lot, then it's really tough out there.
Out there.
Do they have residential sticker programs, though? where
Yes, they
charge for
do.
Stickers, so that's.
They have residential sticker
So
programs.
that's the other
On
alternative, is
street
tie it to
parking.
the license plate, right? I mean, so it's tied to that specific vehicle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about $120 for this placard here, you do have residents under 65. Are we going to take into consideration for what they're paying $20 a year? Like, what is, are we still going by that as well?
I think the cost is the cost. I think the cost is the cost.
So what are we going to do? Eliminate the program? What
Or,
are we doing?
or what is the discount that's offered to parking residents in the garages downtown? What does the senior citizens get for a percentage?
That will be, I believe we're looking for,
You're looking for the percentage, Counselor?
Percentage.
well, we can use the same percentage.
So I would say to keep it consistent and mirror the percentage discount the elderly get in the parking garages, percentage wise.
Well, this is the placards out on the street. Are we giving discounts to students that are?
I'm not sure. What?
Yeah.
Oh, for those, no, okay, so what,
Are we-
sorry about
Are
that.
we talking about the
So-
reserve dwelling parking?
So what I had put on that slide is if we maintain the program, I suggested going to 50, now we're up to 120. I suggested we require the property owner obtain the sign, which sounds agreeable. Move the passport to digital permitting, we're looking at doing that, to do something more based on license plates and things like that. We use plastic signs, and then I'd like if we can look at this program, because in Back Central, if you have a driveway, you're not allowed a sign because you do have access to off-street parking.
Yeah.
We may want to look at that for the remainder of the city, because we have a lot of big houses, and I included a couple of pictures that have big driveways,
Right.
and they also have a green and white sign. And what that does is it takes a spot away from somebody on that street.
Right.
And so we may want to amend this ordinance to reflect that.
That's
Just,
what happened to one of our colleagues on the city council who had a neighbor that was doing the same thing.
Okay?
He was telling people, you can't park, calling the police in front of his house when he had a driveway for like
Right.
5 cars.
Yes.
That's not really fair.
No.
Yes.
But and then I also said if we were to eliminate the program, I'd get into the residential parking and what we charge for that. I will still move towards residential parking for on-street. And I'm looking at, if you're a resident and you want on-street parking, $20 a year. Right now, we give the stickers away. It's another giveaway, for North and South Campus. I think if we went and we charged residents under 65 a $20 fee per year to park in the residential neighborhood, we could do that. I looked at seniors over 65, $10 a year. And then with students in those neighborhoods, I'd look to charge them $40 a year. Okay? And they have to have the proper paperwork from the college and everything and all that. But that would all be digital permitting through Passport, based on license plates.
So I just wanted to mention something real quick, is we talked a little bit ago about a discount for senior citizens.
Yep.
My one concern with that is if we have the property owner acquiring the sign and it's a renter, if someone is, say, 70 years old and renting an apartment from someone who's 50, like, how do you decide whether or not
Yes,
to get a discount?
exactly.
And so that might complicate it.
That
but-
may, yeah,
So-
I didn't think on,
Next Tuesday, we're not having a city council meeting. next Tuesday, we're having a presentation of the budget. Do you think that you could have this done? No, you can't.
Counselor, so we are going to have some changes to the parking rate structure presented to you guys on Tuesday. This probably will not be there in time for us to present it on Tuesday.
So when are we making this subcommittee report? The 13th? The 13th. The 13th, right?
Someone is booked for the 13th.
Subcommittee report, not this budget. So this report will be the 13th.
We can certainly try to have it as soon as possible on there, but
I'm not trying to rush it, but I want to get the facts straight before I...
Sure.
I don't want to say something that's wrong.
One more thing. I'm not a fan of giving the college students any waiver. UMass Lowell doesn't do it in their parking garage, and they're making it sustainable. On our end, we have to live in the same thing. It's not about giving somebody breaks. It's about trying to capture the cost that we're in deficit in a parking enterprise fund. And I just think that, you know what, you come to UMass Lowell, pay for the parking garage. If you don't want to pay for the parking garage, there's a cost outside here that's a driver. You know, to go down there.
I am. I'm saying if you're a resident of like North Campus, if you're a Lowell, you've been up there forever, you know, I'm looking at charging you, if you want on-street parking, $20 for the sticker every year.
Yeah.
The student, I would charge $40 based on their lease.
I would charge them this. I would just say the only way you're getting something is if your landlord puts a sign out there. The rest is up to you to park. Be a commuter. Stay, you know, keep your car at home. That's what most communities do. They don't allow you to do that. They don't allow you to come in. You go to Worcester, they're not letting you park like that. They're saying, keep your car at home. We want walkability. We don't want you burning gas. We don't want more cars on our streets.
I'm not
So there has to be some,
commuters. I mean,
there has to be
kids that live on White Street.
Yeah, but they have to be a deterrent for them to take their car from their home here. And that's the deterrent, is the cost to get these things. Because at the end of the day, you have 6 cars in one building when people could leave 5 of them at home and have a way to get around the city by walking. And we have plenty of public transportation over there. So it's not like it's a must, it's a luxury at this point, and it's taking up a lot of space, that a resident space. So I think we need to really look at that piece and say, what is the driver here? What's our goals? Our goals are to tell the student to keep your car at home. Come to a walkable, sustainable area where there's plenty of things that you can do, not just drive around the city. But that's just my opinion.
One more comment, real quick. So right now, we're not charging anything. Is that, I guess I missed that.
We don't charge anything for residential parking. We
Oh,
don't.
that's crazy,
For the
yeah.
stickers on the street, we don't charge.
Yeah, if my daughter went to college, they're going to charge $300 or $400 a year to park in the parking lot. So I don't know why we're going to do anything different. I would say that we should be doing the same that we're going to do with the sign price and do $120. Everybody's uniform. I mean, why does someone at UMass Lowell get to park on the street, but a resident has to pay for their spot for $120?
Thank you for your support of that. And
Yeah,
yes,
so
that's great.
That'd be my suggestion.
great.
Is that we keep it uniform across the
Absolutely.
board, so.
I think having an exclusive spot marked by a green sign has more value than a sticker. So I could see something being different there, but that's, something.
But I do think there is a difference. The difference is somebody owns the property and put that there, and someone is a temporary person into the city because of a university. And the university has plenty of public transportation. Most students that were in Worcester left their cars at home, or they paid for the parking garage and they would jump in one car, there'd be 5 of them, and they go off. That's what we have to start developing here if we want to curb over UMass Lowell's issue with all of these kids coming with their vehicles. Leave your vehicle at home unless you want to pay the rate. I do understand what Wayne's saying. There's a difference, but there's also a difference. One is a tax-paying property owner, and one is a student who comes in temporary. If you rent an apartment as a college student, you don't get a break. They charge you 12 months. They don't say, okay, only pay, the 8 months that you're here. And there's a driver that we need to protect the resident now and say, okay, we're going to charge the same for these students. And hopefully some of that transportation over there, the parking issues start to at least come down a little bit.
So, moving forward, and you say maintain these programs, increase the fee from 10 to 50, which is $10 to 120, right? Okay, and the rest is like roll out the plastic signs if required, update to handle driveways similar to back Central Street.
Yes.
Now, when you eliminate the rest of those programs, what are we, in short, gonna do? Charge $120 for student parking for a year? What are we gonna say? Are we gonna eliminate all that? Is that what we're?
No, I think we're still looking at what we want to charge for residential stickers.
Okay.
And I absolutely agree with the higher rate for the students.
All right,
guess
so
I just
I'm
didn't
not
think
going
high
to
enough.
say that in the report, because you're going to give us something else. You're going to update this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Better, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes, okay. All right, good.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I would just like to say, if we're talking about resident students who are residents of the city, I think there might be a legal issue with charging them more than any other resident based on whether or not they're a student. So if we're going to look at doing that, I think we need to talk to the law department and get an opinion on that, because I think that could get hairy. If we're talking about someone who's commuting to school, they're a non-resident, that's a different class of person, but I think if you have a resident, it might be an issue.
In Worcester, they don't give them to the students, so you don't get them. They give
you're
them
a
only to the
commuter,
resident. That's it.
You're
They
not
don't give them
getting
to
a
students.
sticker if you're a commuter. If you live in Lowell and you have your car principally garaged here, that allows us to get the excise tax if that happens, and we will give them a sticker. But we would now we would charge them for that sticker. Okay?
I think, charging them significantly more, a penny more than their neighbor who happens to live there all the time.
Yeah, I'll talk with law. Absolutely.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't know how I can do this, Michael, but I would adjourn from the first meeting, but this particular, it's a report, it's a continuation of this subcommittee. I'm not adjourning from this one because it's a report of progress on this one. So can you I adjourn from the first one with the CPA or CPC, but this one,
You just want to continue this to an open date?
yeah, we'll continue this.
To adjourn
Motion to adjourn with the condition to
and
continue on another time with this
And
one.
your report could just state that, you can restate that the
Yeah,
as the preservation stuff is resolved, and this is just
Right.
is a working project that's ongoing.
I second that.
okay, beautiful. He didn't make the motion, but.
I thought you did.
No,
I make that motion.
he makes the motion and Kim seconds it. Okay, good.
Roll call.
Roll call on that, or we don't? Okay, so anyway, we're all set there? Motion to adjourn, motion to recess, to continue on at another date. All right, thank you so much. That's beautiful. All right.